Now, the Roma Wine Company of Fresno, California presents...
Suspense. Tonight, Roma Wines bring you Mr. Lloyd Nolan as star of 19 Deacon Street, a suspense play produced, edited, and directed for Roma Wines by William Spear.
Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills, is presented for your enjoyment by Roma Wines. That's R-O-M-A, Roma Wines. Those excellent California wines that can add so much pleasantness to the way you live, to your happiness in entertaining guests, to your enjoyment of everyday meals. Yes, right now a glassful would be very pleasant, as Roma Wines bring you Mr. Lloyd Nolan in a remarkable tale of suspense.
Oh, what a business, what a business. Do you know how it is? When you're keeping something to yourself, something that scares you, something that nobody else will believe. Well, if I tell you how it really happened, you'll say I'm nuts. But if I don't talk, then for sure I'll go nuts. Listen. Did you ever have a dame get under your skin till you were ready to hang yourself with your own belt just to be rid of her? Yeah. She did that to me. That blonde. That beautiful blonde. And the funny thing is, we never even met. Ties is my business, wholesale. I came to Chicago with a red-hot line and an exclusive to the Middle West, all sewed up. Now, all I had to do was find a place to do business and a place to live. You think that's easy, huh? You should see Chicago these days. Well, some ham actor on the train tipped me off to a theatrical rooming house at 19 Deacon Street. I only wished he'd broken his neck before he saw me. Anyhow, I go to this place, and from the outside, it looks all right. I wait a minute or two, and finally an old dame comes out, looking like a tired old duchess.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. I'm looking...
No vacancy.
Oh? Well, an actor on the train said that maybe he'd put me up.
Are you an actor?
Yeah, sort of.
Well, I do hate to turn you away if you're in the theater. There was a time when we catered exclusively to theatrical people.
Oh, any kind of a room would be okay.
Well, come in, young man. We'll see what we can do. We have a room that we don't rent. It's not really fixed up for renting, but I might...
Now, look, lady, I'm not particular. I'm away all day. All I want a place is to sleep, see?
Come upstairs. I just know I shouldn't. I promised myself that... Now, young man, I'm going to show this to you on one condition.
What's that?
This room belongs to someone very dear to me. She's away. I've never rented it because, well, I expect her back.
Oh, yeah?
I want you to promise that no matter what, you'll not move anything or ask any questions about her.
That's a funny thing to ask.
Some people wouldn't understand. Promise?
Okay, it's a deal.
I'll turn on the light. Well, do you like it?
Well, I don't know. It's kind of feminine, isn't it?
Yes.
Yellow fluffy curtains and costume dolls, cold cream, grease paint, dressing gown. Nice perfume. And hey, lady stockings. Say, ain't this a little unusual? I mean...
We haven't changed it at all. You don't realize this, young man, but you're standing in a shrine.
Am I? Oh, what?
We haven't touched her room because someday she'll be back. And she'll find everything just as she left it.
Is this her picture on the mantel here?
Yes. Isn't she beautiful?
Wow. You can say that again. I never even saw such a beautiful dame.
And notice the long golden hair.
Yeah.
Oh, if you could really see it. Long and shimmering like thin strands of purest gold. And she'll be back.
Well, when do you expect her?
I don't know.
What, didn't she say?
No, she didn't say a word. One day she was here, and the next day she was gone without a word.
How long ago?
In a few days, it'll be 10 years.
Well, I took the room. If I knew then what trouble it would bring me, I'd have slept in the park instead. When the landlady left, I went over to the mantel and I looked at the blonde's picture. Yeah, she was really one beautiful dame. And there was something else about her. Some little thing I couldn't pin down. Well, I took the French doll off the pillow and flopped down. But from where I lay, I could look right at the picture. I looked, and I felt the back of my neck crawl. Finally, I couldn't stand it any longer. I jumped up, I turned the picture to the wall. And then I dozed off. And there she was, crying. Just her face. Soft gray eyes. And her golden hair. Strands of pure gold, like the old dame said, yeah. Well, what was she crying about? What was wrong? I didn't get it. Laverne, what's the matter, Laverne?
Swartz.
Laverne.
Mrs. Swartz.
What are you crying of? Huh?
Mrs. Swartz, are you all right?
Oh, yeah. Just a minute. I'm all right. It's just a bad dream, I guess.
But I heard you calling out. You were calling Laverne.
Oh?
Laverne. That's who you were calling, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't know. Laverne. Yeah. I guess I was.
How did you know, Mr. Swartz? How did you know her name was Laverne?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how I knew. I knew her name. I knew the name of the blonde, but I never met her. I pestered the landlady for details, but the old dame wouldn't talk. So I locked the door. I went to work to find out for myself. I emptied all the dresser drawers out on the bed. Plenty of nice clothes, plenty of shoes and dresses and intimate things, but not one scrap of paper to tell you anything about the girl herself. Not a letter, not a card, not an envelope, nothing. Then I got my first break. In the little jacket, I found a key. It had a tag on it, and the figure 9 was written on the tag. There was nothing locked in the room, though, nothing the key should fit. But maybe someplace I'd find the lock it was made for. And later, high in the closet door, I found a telephone number, scrawled with eyebrow pencil. Briargate 1273. I went downstairs to the hall phone. No one was around. I felt like a jerk dialing a number that had been written more than 10 years ago, but I put the nickel in. I started dialing. B-R-I-1-2-7-3. A busy signal. That meant the number was still alive. And maybe, just maybe, somebody on the other end could tell me about Laverne. An hour later, I was still dialing that number and still getting a busy signal. So I finally give up and went to my room. What business was it of mine if some stale babe wanted to disappear? I had my own headaches. I had 400 dozen fancy neckties to get rid of. Laverne she was still in that room. I felt it in my bones. And I couldn't sleep. In the morning, I started out to look for a place to set up shop. Oh, I was plenty groggy, but I told myself that if I didn't sell those neckties, I'd find myself back in the bargain basement of Rosenblatt's department store, which was a sobering thought. So I started walking down to Madison Street. It's a warm day, and I'm walking fast, and suddenly I look up, and I'm on State Street. Now, I know that town pretty well. I don't have to go anywhere near State Street to get to Madison, but here I am. I'm on State Street, and I'm standing in front of an old building. All around me, I see hock shops, flop houses, tattoo joints, you know the kind of neighborhood. And right in front of me, this old building, all boarded up. Suddenly, I get the brainwave that this is the kind of a joint I need for my business. Looked like it hadn't been used for 50 years, so the rent couldn't be too high, and it's big and central. So I just ankle around to the alley. Try the back door. Figure there must be a caretaker or somebody around, so I give a yell. Hey! Anybody in there? No dice. This is kind of funny because I can see a light shining through the crack in the boards. So I start pounding on the door. Hey, open up! Open up, will you?
What do you think you're doing?
Huh? Oh, hello, officer. Well, I just thought that there'd be a janitor around.
Does it look like there'd be anybody around with the doors all padlocked like this?
Yeah, but look, there's a light burning inside.
It's just a work light on the stage. It burns all the time. What do you want, mister?
I want to rent the joint. Where can I find the owner?
Rent it, huh?
Yeah.
You better get in touch with Jasper Florenz.
Oh, the big stage producer.
That's right. He used to run this little barbecue house before he was in the chips. Got his start here. You can probably get him on the phone at his office.
Florenz Productions.
Oh, hello. I'd like to speak to Mr. Florenz, please.
Oh, who's calling, please?
My name's Swartz.
What did you wish to talk to Mr. Florenz about, please? He's very busy.
Yeah. Now, look, I ain't no ham actor looking for a job. Tell him I want to rent some space from him.
Rent space?
Yeah, the old Florenz Theater on State Street.
Oh.
Well? Hello?
I'm sorry, but the Florenz Theater is not for rent.
Not for rent. But why? Well, okay. Have it your way. I burned up. The nerve of that guy letting his theater sit there empty while I needed it so bad. Well, I wandered back to the house a little later, and as soon as I got within sight of it, I got that queer feeling again. It was just like that blonde was standing there waiting for me. Well, I walked in and went to my room. I got out of detective mystery and tried to pass the time away, but it didn't work. I couldn't think of a thing, except Laverne. Then I lay back on the bed, and I must have been dead tired. Because in nothing flat, I was out. And there she was again. That beautiful girl sobbing. This time I was sure she was trying to say something to me, trying to get a message of some kind to me, but I just couldn't understand. What was she trying to say? Was she asking me to find her?
Roma Wines are bringing you as star Mr. Lloyd Nolan in 19 Deacon Street by Larry Marcus and Robert Light. Roma Wines' presentation tonight in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Between the acts of Suspense, this is Truman Bradley for Roma Wines. This year, Thanksgiving is more than our traditional Pilgrim's Harvest Festival. More than thanks for the good harvest reaped from the soil of our great land. It's an humble thanksgiving that the world is at peace. Thanks for God-granted overseas victories. Thanks for cherished freedom at home. Thanks for loved ones with us again. Today, in many American homes, wine, Roma wine, is as symbolic of this day of thanks as the traditional turkey. As millions of Americans feast in hamlets, villages, towns, and cities, glassfuls of Roma wine are lifted in heartfelt thankfulness. How fitting, too, with Roma California Burgundy, a wine grown in the soil of America, reflecting the goodness of nature and the patient toil of free men. Roma Burgundy, a red, robust wine, truly delicious, delightful, distinguished in any company with any food. Serve cool. Remember, because of uniformly fine quality at low cost, more Americans enjoy Roma than any other wine. R-O-M-A, Roma Wines.
And now Roma Wines brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Lloyd Nolan as Maurice Forts high salesman, and raconteur in 19 Deacon Street, a play well calculated to keep you in suspense.
After that, I was afraid to sleep. So I grabbed my hat and ran out of the house. I stopped at a joint down the street and ordered some coffee. And while I was sitting there, I all of a sudden remembered what my uncle, my mother's brother, used to say. He said, if you want to forget something that's bothering you, just concentrate on something else. Anything else. Well, but what could I concentrate on? And I thought. And then I thought of the theater, the Florence Theater. Other guys had tried to rent it for years and failed, but I needed it. And if I used my brain for that one thing, if I did nothing but plan ways of breaking Florence down, I might be able to level myself out and at the same time swing the deal. Later that morning, I got in touch with an agent I knew, and he gave me Florence's address. I took a cab out there. It was on Lakeshore Drive and very hoi polloi. Florence was sitting in his study. He looked just like his pictures. Tall, gray-looking, with a nice sort of smile. But his necktie was lousy. Well, we had quite an argument.
Did I understand that you're interested in the Florence Theater?
Yeah, that's right. I tried to see you at your office, but I couldn't get past your secretary. That's why I thought I'd take a chance in seeing you here.
I see. You're rather persistent, aren't you, Mr. Swart?
Well, you see, it means a lot to me, Mr. Florence. I understand it's been closed for years, but it's just what I need.
I believe my secretary told you I didn't want to rent the theater, didn't you?
Well, sure he did, but, Mr. Florence, did you ever have a hunch?
A hunch? Why, yes, of course.
Well, do you generally play your hunches?
Sometimes.
Well, I got a hunch about your theater.
I see. Well, I'd like very much to help you, but I'm afraid it's out of the question.
But why?
Well, it's where I produced my first shows. Has memories for me. Some pleasant, some not so pleasant. Reopening that theater would be like reopening a part of my past that I'd rather keep closed.
Oh, but ain't that kind of silly, Mr. Florence? I wouldn't put on shows there. All I want is...
I admire your persistence, Mr. Swartz, but the answer will always be no.
Okay. You win for now. But I ain't giving up. Because when I want something real bad, I get it. And I want your theater bad. For personal reasons. Now, here's my card. I've written my phone number on it in case you change your mind. And you'll change your mind, Mr. Florence.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. As you say, I'm persistent.
Hello? Oh, Mr. Bogart, yes.
This isn't Mr. Bogart. I was just kidding. This is Swartz again. Yeah.
Oh, you.
Yeah, you sure you don't want to rent that theater?
Still very sure, Mr. Swartz. Look, Swartz, I want you to stop hounding me.
It's not doing anybody any good standing empty.
That's for me to decide. I want you to leave me alone, do you hear? I want you to leave me alone.
Yeah, and that's how it went. And it worked at first. For a while, I forgot about Laverne. And I got Florence plenty nervous. But every time I went back to 19 Deacon Street, I wondered who was more nervous, him or me. And all the time I'm dogging Florence, I'm still sneaking in calls to that phone number I found in the closet, Briargate 1273. And I'm still getting busy signals. And then one night as I'm listening to the busy signal, I get mad. Hey, operator. Operator!
This is the operator, sir.
So what's been going on around here? For 3 days and nights I've been dialing this number, and all I got is a busy signal.
I'll connect you with my supervisor.
Well, what good's that going to do? Now, look, is there any way of finding out who this number belongs to?
Surely, sir. Unless it's an unlisted number, you can get that information by dialing 2080.
You mean I can find out who's at the other end of this phone by dialing that number? Well, there's nothing like that back home.
Yes, sir. Chicago has that service.
And I spend 3 days listening to a busy signal. Say, lady, where can I dial for brains? So I dialed 2080, and that's how I found the place. It's a little run-down spaghetti joint named Joe's. Over in the corner, I see the telephone that's been giving me the busy signal, and no wonder. It's a public phone booth. Right now, one guy is in it and 2 others are waiting for it. I go over and climb on a stool. What can I get you?
You, Joe?
Yeah, what can I get you?
How long you been in this place, Joe?
14 or 15 years. Why?
Well, you've seen a lot of people come and go, huh?
Sure, plenty. What can I get?
Look, you got a good memory for faces?
Look, you see, I'm busy, mister. I got no time for games. You want something or you don't want something?
Here, Joe, take a look at this picture.
Sure. Yeah.
So what? You recognize her?
Yeah, she's been in here a long time ago.
What's her name, Joe?
I can't remember her name. She was a showgirl, I think. Is it Claire or something?
Wasn't it Laverne, Joe?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah?
Laverne Claire. She's always come in here with the big shot.
With the big shot?
Well, he wasn't so big a shot then, but he was going to places. And then she jilted him and run off with some other guy. I remember very good because he used to come in here after that and sit here alone all the time. Break him up pretty bad.
Hey, and who was this big shot? You remember that, Joe?
Oh, sure. The big producer, Jasper Florence. And now what can I get you, huh?
Jasper Florence, the poor guy. Here I've been hounding him for the theater, and he's holding out because it'll break his heart to let it go. He won't rent because it's a chunk of his life, a bad chunk. And it's in that theater. Well, that's what a dame can do to you. But what a mean dame she must be. But anyway, I begin to feel better. Now, first thing tomorrow, I'd go out, find another place to do business, and I'd start selling ties. But when I get home, I was in for another surprise. On my door, there was a note from the landlady. Jasper Florence called. He changed his mind about the theater and will meet you there at 8 o'clock. Well, figure that one out. I looked at my watch and it was 5 after 8 already. I get to the theater about 20 past. Nobody's there. So I wait around in front for a few minutes and then I look down at the front door. The padlock I saw on it the other day was gone. I give the door a little push. It swings open. Well, it's just like any other theater lobby. White tile, brass rails, cobwebs all over everything, of course. I go on into the house, and there in the center of the stage is that one big work light the cop told me they've been keep burning all these years. What a queer duck that Florence must be to keep electricity going for 10 years. And in the center of the stage is a big organ. And the light behind it sends screwy shadows up against the wall. I walk down the long aisle and up the stairs onto the stage. And as I walked across it, I could hear my footsteps echo. I never could resist listening to an echo, so I yelled, "Hello!" Acting like a kid whistling in the dark. Hey, look, Maury, you're all alone here. There's nothing to be afraid of. Well, then I see that organ. I walk over to it. Run my hand across the keys. I quit that in a hurry. Then as I wipe the dust off my fingers, I look up into the flies. I look and I see sandbags hanging. Whoa. They must weigh 150 pounds. I was just looking up at the catwalk, Then I see somebody move. I was sure of it. Just off stage. The guy moved in the darkness. Don't ask me why, but I started to walk toward him very quietly. Yeah, he was there. I could see him now. Hey, come out of there, you! He didn't move. So I walked over closer and... It was a dressing room. And the guy I saw reflected was Maury Swartz. That's right, me. Maury Swartz reflected in a dressing table mirror. Well, just then I saw a door to another dressing room across the hall. That door was closed, but something about it made me stare. It was the number on the door. Number 9. I remember the key I picked up in Laverne's room. And in a flash, I had it out of my pocket and was trying it on the door. Number 9, the tag said. And it worked. My knees were shaking and sweat was rolling down my face, but I opened the door as wide as I could. I stepped in. And then I stepped on something. It was dark. I couldn't figure out what it was. So I lit a match. There, on the floor, were the white bones of a skeleton. And beside them
Long golden strands of hair. And then I knew. My heart was beating a mile a minute as I stole back to the stage. I got there and I started for the footlights. Suddenly I looked up. The master curtain was crashing down on me. I jumped back.
Got away just in time, didn't you, Swartz?
Huh?
Too bad.
Florence, where are you?
Can't see me, Swartz, but I can see you. I'm up here in the flag area in the shadows. But you're well lighted by that work light. Make a very good target down there. I wouldn't do that, Swartz. If you make one move to put out the light or get away, I'll cut these counterweights and be smashed to nothing.
You killed Laverne, didn't you, Florence? You killed her and then you closed your theater and locked it up so she'd never be found. No wonder you wouldn't rent.
And what are you going to do about it, Mr. Swartz? You don't have much of a chance, do you? No, there's no way off the stage, is there?
Well, I can get out the wings, Florence.
It's a long walk, my friend. And before you make it, I'll drop these sandbags on you.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe in a minute or two I'll make a dash. Maybe I'll be faster than you will. Then what, Florence? Then you'll fry for killing that girl.
She had it coming. And so have you, my friend, for being a meddler. And you're going to get it. I'm cutting the weights loose now.
No, don't do that, please, will you? That's a long way to fall. And an awful way to die. Even for you, Florence. Well, there's the story. And if you don't believe it, there's nothing I can do. Florence was leaning over, cutting those ropes, and the guardrail in that old theater gave away. And it was curtains for him. Well, I hope I entertained you. And, by the way, if you happen to need any ties, I got a nice new line in. I hope you won't think it's sacrilegious, but these ties, and they come in all colors, they got a girl's picture on them. It's a cute idea, huh? I call it the Laverne tie. So don't forget, look me up. I got a little stand in Rosenblatt's department store. You can't miss it. Right in the bargain basement.
Roma Wines have brought you Lloyd Nolan as star of 19 Deacon Street. Tonight's study in Suspense.
This is Truman Bradley for Roma Wines, the sponsor of Suspense. Welcoming guests with Roma California Sherry is becoming an American custom, says famed hostess Elsa Maxwell. Glorious gold and amber Roma Sherry, served cool, is a delicious appetizer before the meal, the perfect first call for dinner. Delightful later in the evening, too. Roma Sherry is a happy, mellow wine with natural fragrance. Cream-rich with natural grape sugar sweetness and nut-like taste. If you prefer a real dry sherry, get Roma Pale Dry Sherry. Like all Roma California wines, Roma Sherries are true wines, always unvaryingly good. You can now enjoy the taste luxury of Roma wines at the lowest prices in years, at savings as much as 1/4. Grown from choice grapes, unhurriedly perfected by age-old skill. Bottled at Roma wineries in California's choicest vineyards. Get your favorite Roma wines now for holiday entertaining. Insist on Roma wines. Roma wines offer you so much for so little. That's Roma, R-O-M-A, Roma wines.
Lloyd Nolan appeared through the courtesy of 20th Century Fox Film Corporation and can now be seen in their production, The House on 92nd Street. Next Thursday, Roma Wines bring you Miss Nancy Kelly in Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills.
Presented by Roma Wines, R-O-M-A, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. Now, the Roma Wine Company of Fresno, California presents Suspense.
Roma Wines bring you Miss Nancy Kelly as star of A Week Ago Wednesday, a suspense play produced, edited, and directed for Roma Wines by William Spear.
Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills, is presented for your enjoyment by Roma Wines. That's R-O-M-A, Roma Wines. Those excellent California wines that can add so much pleasantness to the way you live, to your happiness in entertaining guests, to your enjoyment of everyday meals. Yes, right now a glassful would be very pleasant as Roma Wines bring you Nancy Kelly in a remarkable tale of suspense.
I was married in a blue suit that wrinkled too easily and shoes that were too tight when I walked. Just another girl. I got hungry when I didn't eat and tired when I didn't sleep. When I got pushed around in the 8th Avenue subway and I waited in line at the movies, I was hot in summer and cold in the winter. Other people were killed and robbed and disgraced and in trouble, so I could read about it in the morning paper. That sort of thing happened to other people, not to me, not to Maud Haskin. But suddenly I've become other people, and a million someone else's read about me. I'd like to tell you how it was. Harry and I had quarreled that Wednesday morning. I've tried to remember why, but I can't. I've tried to think, but... Well, I wasn't in any hurry to get home after work that day, that Wednesday. So I sat for a while on a bench in Central Park. The sky looked moody and had a dirty face. I watched evening happen quickly because it was going to rain. It started to come down, doing my crying for me. And I ran. I knew suddenly that I wanted to go home. I wanted to climb the stairs to the little furnished flat. I wanted Harry to be there so I could put my arms around him and feel him warm against me. I wanted to tell him that I loved him and that I was sick because I hadn't kissed him goodbye that morning. I nearly fell running up those narrow little steps. I stumbled a half a dozen times before I reached the 3rd floor, apartment 3B. I was nervous, and I was too eager to get in. My hand was clumsy, all thumbs, and the key wouldn't fit. It dropped to the floor. I stooped to pick it up, and as I did, the door was unlatched from the inside. Harry! I saw it open, and I nearly sobbed with joy and relief. Harry!
Yes, what is it, dearie?
But it wasn't Harry. Not Harry looking anxious because I was late and worried because I was drenched with the rain. This was a stranger in our apartment. A small, dark woman with eyes like 2 shiny brown buttons and a pinched little face.
Well?
She was wearing a flowered apron, and in her hand she held a limp dish towel. I blinked at her stupidly.
Well, what is it? I don't want to buy anything. I'm busy. I'm making supper.
Oh, but you don't understand. I'm...
Looking for somebody? What apartment did you want? This is 3B.
3B?
Yeah. What apartment are you looking for?
Oh, but I'm not.
I won't be much help anyhow. Better ask down the hall. We've only been living here a few days.
Living here?
Yes. What's the matter with you, dearie? Are you sick? Don't you feel well?
Oh, no. No, I don't feel very well.
And your clothes? Why, they're sopping wet.
Well, the rain. I got caught in the rain.
What are you talking about? It isn't raining.
Oh, but you're wrong. It is raining.
Listen here, young woman. What kind of a game do you think you're playing?
But are you sure? Well, I ran. I ran all the way because there was thunder and lightning.
We had a storm a week ago, but it ain't rained like that since Wednesday.
Wednesday? A week ago? Oh, no. No.
Here, don't do that. You sit down there, dearie, and I'll get some water. Don't move now. And supper not ready and company coming. Oh,
I sat on the sofa. Harry and I had talked just last night about having the spring in the middle cushion fixed. Or had we? I ran my hand over the top, cautiously, afraid. And then I stopped as if I'd suddenly taken hold of a live wire. For my fingers curved over the lumpy roughness of a pillow with a broken spring.
Here, drink this. Easy. Are you better now? Don't talk, just drink it. Easy. That's it, dearie.
Thank you. Over the rim of the glass, she watched me. I sipped the water slowly while my eyes drank in the room. Well, there was that crack at the base of the lamp from the day Harry got his raise. He'd been swinging me around the room, around and around in circles until we were both dizzy and knocked the lamp over. And there was a little table near the window. And there was the rug with the worn spot in it, and the fireplace, and the mantel. But our wedding picture on it was missing. And in its place, there was a cheap blue vase.
There, better? Are you better now?
Oh, much. Thank you.
Want me to call a cab for you? Where do you live, dearie?
Why,
You were looking for someone when you come. Friends of yours?
Huh? Oh, friends. Friends, yes. Yes, friends of mine. Harry and Maud Haskin.
Haskin? But don't you read the papers? You mean you don't know?
Know what?
Why, about the murder, of course. We moved in a few days after it happened. My husband didn't like the idea, but an apartment's an apartment these days. Foolishness being squeamish about those things. But I said to him, Charlie, it's a vacancy. So what if there was a murder here? Don't mean nothing.
Murder? Tell me. Tell me about it.
Oh, he looked such a nice young man, too. At least in his pictures.
Who? Who are you talking about?
Harry Haskin, of course. Murder.
Harry?
Yes, with an ice pick. Horrible. Right in that kitchen. Don't bother me none, but my Charlie won't eat there.
Ice pick? Murdered?
Isn't it awful? And everybody says they seem so much in love. And she was so young, they say.
What?
Did you know them well?
Oh, yes. Yes, very well.
Must be a shock to you. Can't understand
why... Is it in that paper? May I see it?
Sure. Been full of nothing else for almost a week.
She was right. Ice pick murderer awaits conviction. The headline screamed out at me. I closed my eyes for a minute to blot it out. Perhaps when I opened them again, the words would be gone. But they weren't. Big and bold as life or death, they mocked me. Ice pick murderer awaits conviction. And underneath, the little black letters pieced themselves together to form the words killer, bloody, motive. And then they jumped crazily on the page. Well, there was a picture of Harry. Harry, my husband. I tried to read under it, but I couldn't.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't have let you see that. Better sit down again, dearie.
No, let me alone. Oh, I'm all right. Let me alone.
Sure. All right. After all, I didn't ask.
Oh, I'm sorry. You've been very kind. Please, I'm better go. I don't remember leaving, walking down those stairs out of the door. I just remember finding myself on the street again, half walking and half running, wanting to curl up on the pavement and let my head burst with the ache and the fright that was growing inside.
Toot, toot, I'm a fireman. Watch out, I'm a fireman. Toot, toot.
I was back in Central Park again.
Toot, toot, I'm a
From out of
fireman.
nowhere, a little boy on a scooter came tearing around the bend. He turned sharply to keep from running into me. I watched him lose his balance and try to regain it dizzily.
I'm a fireman. Watch out, lady. Hey, lady. Watch out. Watch out.
He toppled over and fell in a pathetic little heap on the ground. His knee was bleeding. I ran over to pick him up.
Oh, my knee. It hurts. Oh, my knee. Help me up, will you?
I bent over him, my arms outstretched to lift him to his feet again. And then I remembered. I was dead. I'd been murdered by my husband almost a week ago. I was dead.
Help me up, lady. Will you?
I froze. This little boy, if it were true, and it was because I'd read it in the paper myself, if I were really dead, I knew I couldn't touch this child. I was afraid for him. So I ran again.
Hey, lady!
I ran faster and faster till I couldn't hear him anymore. Then it was later somehow, and really dark. And I was so tired. I found myself back on that bench again. The same bench I'd been sitting on earlier that evening. No one was around. I stretched out and tried to sleep. I knew I was awake before I opened my eyes. It smelled like morning, fresh and clean, and I felt the sun soak into me. I thought when I open my eyes, I'll be back in my own bed again. I'll reach out my arm, and I'll find Harry there beside me, and everything will be all right when I open my eyes. I did, and it was still Central Park. I sat up stiffly, and I smoothed out the wrinkles in my skirt. I wondered where I was going to go or what I was going to do. I tried not to think of Harry, where he was now.
Maud, darling. Are you all right?
Harry, you.
Oh, golly, baby, I've been worried sick about you all night. Where have you been? Honey, I'm sorry about yesterday. Will you come home with me?
Home?
But look at your clothes. They're still damp from the rain. Oh, if you get sick, I'll never forgive myself. How do you feel? Are you all right?
Rain. Yes. Yes, I'm all right.
Oh, good. Come on, then. Let me take your arm.
His big hand and long, strong fingers pressed against my arm. My head still ached, so I let him lead me. We left the park from the entrance on 72nd Street as a little boy on a scooter came tearing around the bend.
Shoot, shoot! I'm a fireman! Watch out! Shoot, shoot! I'm a fireman!
For Suspense, Roma Wines are bringing you as star Miss Nancy Kelly in A Week Ago Wednesday by Winifred Wolfe. Roma Wines' presentation tonight in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Between the acts of Suspense, this is Truman Bradley for Roma Wines. With the holidays ahead, here's good news to all who enjoy fine Roma wines. To all who serve Roma wines for gracious hospitality and for mealtime pleasure, Roma wines are now featured at new low prices. In plentiful supply, too. Roma California wines offer you full selections. Sherry, port, muscatel, or tokay for entertaining, Burgundy or Sauterne for mealtime enjoyment, and champagne to make any happy occasion unforgettable. Each of these fine Roma wines brings you taste luxury at new low prices. So be sure to have plenty of Roma wines on hand. Roma wines are grown from choicest grapes, unhurriedly perfected by age-old skill, bottled at Roma wineries in California's choicest vineyards. Remember, because of uniformly fine quality at low cost, more Americans enjoy Roma than any other wine. Roma wines make perfect gifts, too. So insist on Roma wines for good living and good giving. Roma wines offer you so much for so little. That's Roma, R-O-M-A, Roma wines.
And now, Roma Wines bring back to our Hollywood soundstage Miss Nancy Kelly as Maud Haskin in A Week Ago Wednesday, a play well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Place looks awful, doesn't it? I don't know how many cigarettes I smoked. I tried to sleep, but I couldn't, so I tried the couch, and no luck there either. That broken spring didn't help much. I was almost out of my mind worrying about you, honey. I got hungry about 3 o'clock in the morning, but I couldn't eat. Dirty dishes still in the sink.
Never mind, I'll wash them.
Maud. Darling.
Yes?
Come here, will you? Why are you standing near the mantel? Why don't you come over to me?
Huh? Oh, I was looking at the picture on it. Our wedding picture. It's there.
Of course it's there. Where should it be? Darling, put your arms around me so I'll know you're real, that you've come back. Where did you go? Where were you?
I don't know.
All right, I won't ask questions now. Just put your arms around me tight and tell me you still love me.
He held me close to him, and he bent his head so it was buried warm and heavy against my throat. I thought it wouldn't hurt because he's pressing me too tightly if I were dead. I couldn't feel the tiny pulse in my throat beating quick and sharp if I were really dead. The worn spot on the rug was still there, and the crack in the base of the lamp. But the wedding picture was back on the mantel, and the woman with eyes like two shiny brown buttons was gone. There was just Harry and me.
Are you hungry? Let me get you something to eat.
I am hungry a little.
Well, let me make you something here. Now, you sit down here on the couch, and I'll bring it to you. Or, you want to change first?
Yes, I'd like that.
Gee, I'm sorry you got caught in the rain, honey.
It It was raining, wasn't it, Harry? It was raining hard, wasn't it?
Raining? I'll say it was. What a storm.
It was raining. It was raining hard. Oh, Harry.
Maud, sweet, don't. Oh, please don't. You're home now.
We ate breakfast on the little table near the window. He leaned across the table, his large arms resting on the cloth, his eyes steady and serious, watching me. Why was he being so kind? Why should he be so good to me? What were the thoughts behind those eyes, watching me, watching?
I love you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to drop.
Don't worry about it.
I'll get the broom. Sweep it up.
Maud.
Yes?
Don't bother about it now. Come here to me, will you?
No.
What?
I mean, it's glass. I'd better sweep it up. I'll only be a minute.
Okay.
I went into the kitchen, glad to be alone for a minute, safe for a minute. I knew with a dull, sick realization that I was afraid of my husband. Afraid of Harry.
Want me to do it for you?
No, I can do it. I'll sweep it up.
Maud, don't go into work today. Stay home and rest. You don't look well.
Oh, but I am. I want to go into work.
All right, if you're sure. Anything you want.
He was being good to me again. Too good to me. Anything I wanted. Anything. I didn't trust him. He was too kind. His lips moved with honeyed words, but what was on his mind?
I love you.
Do you?
Well, don't you know I do?
Of course I do.
You'll be home right after work?
Yes.
Maybe we'll go to a movie or something. Would you like that?
We'll see.
All right. We'll see.
He walked me to the 8th Avenue subway like he always did. And when he kissed me goodbye, a slim tremor of fear went through me.
See you tonight, darling.
I took 3 letters that morning. I typed them automatically, but inside my head, one thought kept repeating. I'm afraid of Harry. I'm afraid. My husband is going to kill me. I know because I dreamed it last night, only I'm not sure it was a dream. Maybe it was a warning. A warning. My husband is going to kill me. Kill me.
Fry 2, looking at the moon. Wheat down. What'll it be, lady?
Ham on rye. Coffee.
Coming. Ham on rye.
The drugstore was full of hungry, busy people reading the daily paper. The paper that screamed the hurts and the pains and the troubles of other people. But not me. Not Maud Haskin. Well, there was nothing in it about a nice pick murder in Harry's picture. I began to feel a little foolish.
Here you are, lady. Ham on rye. Jab on its way.
I'd fallen asleep on a park bench, and I'd had a dream. That was all. Just a nightmare. Afraid? Afraid of Harry? Well, I'd let a silly dream play tricks with me. I wanted to push the minutes ahead so I could go home. Go home to Harry. I kept looking at the clock. 4:30, 4:35. I wanted to get home and tell him I was all right. I was all right now. 4:45, 4:50, 5 o'clock. This time I knew I wasn't dreaming. This time I could run fast all the way from the subway to 69th and down and home, and Harry would be there. Down 69th and up those brownstone steps, I climbed 1 flight, 2 flights, out of breath, hurrying. One more.
Excuse me, dearie. Do you know where I can find the landlady?
It was that woman. The small, dark woman with eyes like 2 shiny brown...
You know where I can find the landlady?
What? What did you say?
You live here, dearie?
Yes, I...
Well, tell me then. Do you happen to know if there's any vacancies?
Vacancies? No. I'm sure there aren't.
Oh, me and my husband's been looking for weeks. What a job. Do you know if anybody's planning to move out, dearie? Soon, maybe? Say, where are you going? Say. Well, can you beat that?
That woman in my dream who'd been living in our apartment. What was she doing here? Maybe it had been more than a dream. Maybe I was thrown ahead into 7 tomorrows, to next Wednesday. Maybe by then she'd have our apartment. just like in my dream. And then I'd...
Darling, that you?
Yes. Yes, Harry.
Got a kiss for me? Atta girl. You're home early.
I hurried.
Did you? So did I. I missed you terribly. Come on in. I got a surprise.
What kind of a surprise?
Never mind. Oh, Maud. Don't ever go very far away again, will you?
No. No, Harry, I won't.
Good. Now, you wait here. I'll be only a minute.
I kept thinking. Not a dream. Not just a dream, but a warning. A warning. Oh, but that was silly. It couldn't be. I heard the sound of... I couldn't be sure, but it sounded like... I felt the blood rush up to my face, and I began to shake all over. I walked into the kitchen. Harry was bent over a small bowl. I could see the muscles under his thin shirt move up and down as his arm rose and fell again and again, and in his hand he held a knife.
Maud! What is it? What's the matter?
Nothing. What are you doing?
Oh, why did you come in? This was going to be a surprise. You're not angry because I spent the money, are you? We've got to celebrate.
No, I'm not angry.
I wish you hadn't come in, though. You spoiled it.
I'm sorry.
I didn't mean it. Doesn't matter. Nothing matters as long as you're here.
He put the ice pick beside the bowl, and he took me in his arms. And all the time he kept telling me he loved me, I was looking fascinated at the ice pick, thin and sharp. The ice pick. Spoil his surprise. Yes, I'd spoil it. He thought he was going to kill me, but I wasn't going to let him. I wasn't going to let him.
Gee, I love you. I love you.
I'd smother the lying words in his throat before he could say them again. I'd been warned, and I wasn't going to let him do it. I reached out, and I felt my fingers creep around the handle of the ice pick. I was strong and safe now. That dream wasn't going to come true. I'd make sure. I held it tightly, and I raised it behind his back, and I saw it over his shoulder, poised like a serpent ready to strike. Ready.
Darling, I love you. I'd
done it. I put all my strength into that blow, and the ice pick half disappeared into him.
Maud,
His arms, still around me, grew limp. I felt him slide heavily, big hands dragging at my body as he desperately tried to stay on his feet. His long fingers clutched at my belt, and he tore it from me. And then he fell, still holding it in his hand. He was still on my feet, a red circle of blood on his white shirt, and in that circle, the ice pick. No one saw me leave the house. It was a clear, cold night. Overhead, a plane made its way past the stars. I remember looking up at it and thinking, you can't even see me. You don't even know I'm here. And that I've just killed my husband and left him lying dead on the kitchen linoleum. But I knew. And somehow I didn't care. All I kept thinking was, not me. Not me. It wasn't me lying dead with an ice pick in my back. I'd been cleverer than he. I'd done it first. I stumbled into the park. And then I dropped from exhaustion. I slept all night on the grass. In the morning, I remembered. When I was too sick to care. I was almost sorry I woke up. I didn't want ever to wake up. I started to walk again. I kept on walking until I couldn't go anymore. There was a bench. I sat down. Someone had been there before and left a newspaper. I picked it up and I read it. And then I knew. As big and bold as life or death, it mocked me. Ice pick murder, and the words killer, bloody, motive jumped crazily on the page. And Harry's picture, just as it had been in my dream, only this time I read on. Harry Haskin dead, murdered, police searching for wife Maud Haskin. And then I knew. What? Harry never wanted to kill me. Harry loved me. I tried to run away from a dream, just a dream, and instead I made him live I wanted to tell you how it was, Father, because it's so hard to believe it happened to me. Pray for me. I know now what wrong I've done. The dream has come true. It's Wednesday again, isn't it, Father? Maud Haskett in a prison cell because I killed my husband. I had to tell someone, Father. Will you pray for me?
The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want.
A week ago Wednesday. I wonder if she's still there. The woman with eyes like two shiny brown buttons reading about us in the paper. I wonder if she's there now.
Roma Wines have brought you Miss Nancy Kelly as star of A Week Ago Wednesday. Tonight's study in Suspense.
This is Truman Bradley for Roma Wines, the sponsor of Suspense. This is the time of the year when unexpected guests and old friends drop in for surprise visits and joyous reunions. To make the evening more pleasureful, famed hostess Elsa Maxwell makes this suggestion. Serve guests a wine that adds warmth to the welcome. Such a delightful wine is Red Roma California Port. A heartening wine, a gracious wine that adds so much to the enjoyment of an evening with friends. Roma Port is vibrant with the rich brilliance of a precious ruby, the softness of velvet, with the fruity fragrance of the fresh grape, and a delicious nectar-like taste of natural sweetness. Roma Port is a proud wine in a family of California's finest. A true wine, always unvaryingly good. Priced so reasonably low. Try Roma Port soon, won't you? That's R-O-M-A, Roma Port.
Nancy Kelly will soon be seen in the Paramount picture, Follow That Woman. Next Thursday, same time, Roma Wines will bring you Mr. Glenn Ford as star of Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills.
Presented by Roma Wines, R-O-M-A, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Suspense. Tonight, Roma Wines bring you Robert Taylor in The House in Cypress Canyon, a suspense play produced, edited, and directed for Roma Wines by William Spear. Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills, is presented for your enjoyment by Roma Wines. That's R-O-M-A, Roma Wines. Those better-tasting California wines enjoyed by more Americans than any other wine. Yes, right now, a glassful would be very pleasant, as Roma Wines bring you Robert Taylor in a remarkable tale of suspense.
Merry Christmas, Jerry. How's the real estate business?
Kind of early with your greeting, aren't you, Sam?
Well, I got to get them in sometime. I may not see you again until next Christmas.
If this real estate racket gets any crazy, I'll be dead by next Christmas. I'm glad you could get up here, though, Sam.
What's on your mind, Jerry?
You'll probably shoot me when you hear it, Sam, because I'm probably nuts. But doggone it, you're a detective and you're my pal, and I just had to tell somebody.
Oh, you sound like it's serious.
That's just it. I don't know what it is, Sam, but... Now, listen, You know, we're agents for a group of houses up in Cypress Canyon. Those places that were started before the war, never got finished.
Oh, yeah.
All they got in were the foundations, just concrete and a couple of beams. Well, they've been finished now. In fact, I'm putting up for rent on the last of them today.
Well, what do you want? Police protection from the mob?
Listen, Sam, this house that I'm talking about, it's got a number now, 2256. But before, when the men went back to work on it about 3 months ago, well, they just started when the foreman on the job brought me a shoebox that he'd found up on a beam. And this box had what do you call it, a manuscript in it, a story kind of, all written out.
Yeah.
Well, he gave me the thing. I read it. I didn't think much about it. I put it in my desk. But the other day, and I happened to drive by there, I saw the number on the house and what the house looked like. I thought of this manuscript. Well, I don't like it. That's all. There's something funny about it.
What's funny about it?
Well, mind you, this thing was found in an unfinished house in Cypress Canyon. House that was only just started building.
All right.
Well, listen, Sam, I want to read it to you if you got the time, and you'll see what I mean.
All right, shoot.
Now, here's how it begins. To whom it may concern, my reasons for setting down on paper what follows here will be abundantly clear.
Will be abundantly clear to anyone into whose possession it may fall. First, let me say that I'm a very ordinary person. My name is James A. Woods. I'm 35 years old. By profession, a chemical engineer. My wife, Ellen, was a school teacher when I met and married her in Indiana 7 years ago. There's nothing in the past life of either one of us to suggest remotely any cause or reason for the dreadful thing that has invaded our lives. Our married life has been in no way different from that of millions of other average, reasonably happy, and congenial families. 3 months ago, I was ordered by my firm to take charge of a rather minor project in Los Angeles, Hollywood to be exact. The order was a sudden one. There'd been no time to secure accommodations, and conditions being what they are, the inevitable result was that until day before yesterday, we'd been living in the cramped quarters of one of those characteristic California motels. Needless to say, most of our spare time had been devoted to a search for something more permanent and comfortable, but the fruits of these efforts had been financially and in every other way a geometrical progression of discouragement. Until last Saturday afternoon, only 4 days before Christmas. We were driving into town on our way to a movie when Ellen saw it.
Jim, look.
What?
That sign in front of that real estate office.
Oh, yeah.
But don't you see what it says? For rent, furnished, 2-bedroom house, close in, immediate occupancy.
Yeah,
Aren't you going to stop?
Oh, Ellen, you know a sign like that. It mean right out in plain sight in front of a real estate office.
Oh, yeah, but Jim...
Either they want $600 a month...
We'll never know until we ask.
If it's any good at all, there are probably 50 people fighting for it right back there now.
Well, honey, there's no harm in trying. Now, is there?
You really want to go back?
Oh, it's probably foolish, but what can we lose?
Okay.
Oh, darling, come on, cheer up. How do you know? Maybe our luck will change. Maybe fate's going to give us a nice new house for a Christmas present.
We're sorry to bother you, but we just happened to see that for rent sign outside.
Oh, yeah. I hung it outside just this minute.
Is the house available?
Why, sure it is.
Let me introduce myself. My name is James A. Woods, and this is my wife, Ellen.
How do you do? Wow. Looks like it's fixing to rain.
Yes, so it does, doesn't it? It was one of those things. The real estate agent had just been authorized to rent the place by mail that morning, and he'd hardly had time to look at it himself and put up his sign when we drove up. It was just an ordinary little California house about halfway up Cypress Canyon, number 2256. Just an ordinary, undistinguished little house. The agent didn't know much about it. Construction on it had been stopped by the war, and it had just been completed and furnished lately. It's been vacant while somebody's estate was being settled, and now it was owned by a bank in Sacramento. Of course, we didn't care about it.
Key in the mail along with the authorization to rent. Only one there is, because you can have duplicates made. It seems to stick a little. Oh, no, there it is.
Doesn't sound as though that door had ever been opened.
Well, a little oil on the hinges will fix that all right.
Oh, sure.
Now, here's your living room. Furniture's a little dusty, of course. You got to expect that. It's good furniture, though, you see? Benson Brothers.
Yes,
Now, over here's a little den. Panel, you see? Radio, fireplace. Really a very attractive little room, particularly for a man.
Yep.
Now, the bedroom's off the living room here. Everything's all on one floor, you understand? It's quite nice, I think.
Yes.
You can see you get the morning sun here. There's a view of the canyon through these front windows. You got cross
That's about all there was to it. It wasn't the best place in the world. It was small and badly built, but what would you have done? We took it with as little inspection as that. It was the Saturday before Christmas. And the very same evening, we were struggling up the steps from the road with suitcases and boxes and armloads of clothes and all the endless bric-a-brac that people collect and never know they have until they move. Ellen began unpacking, and I began moving things around and taking the worst of the pictures off the wall, doing all the little things that everybody does when they move into a new place and try to give it something in their own
Don't be such a sourpuss. You know, it's a roof over our heads for Christmas. That's more than we ever thought we'd get, isn't it? Now, what in the world are we going to do with those two pictures?
Why don't we just leave them where they are?
Jim, we can't. They're too awful.
Well, all right, put them in the closet then.
I can't. Both the closets are jammed full.
No, I mean the other one in the little alcove off the den. At least there's a door there. I suppose it's a closet. I don't know.
That isn't a commentary on the housing problem, huh? A woman moving into a house without even knowing where all the closets are. Take the pictures down, will you, honey? Bring them in here.
Okay.
Guess you'll have to help me with this door. I can't get it open.
Let me see it. Well, of course you can't, silly. It's locked. Where are those keys we found in the desk?
Here they are.
No, not this one. Sure, this one won't work. No. Feels like an awful solid door for a closet.
Oh, and that's one solid door in the house.
No, this one won't do it either. Well, we'll just have to get a locksmith up here on Monday. I'll put the pictures behind the desk, okay?
Yeah, all right. Jim, if you could just help me move this armchair, huh?
Oh, Ellen, will you let it go until tomorrow? You know what time it is?
Oh, but, honey, I'd like to get the place looking just a
Yeah,
little
but it's
bit.
almost midnight. In fact, it's exactly...
What was that?
Tomcat, I guess, out in the brush somewhere.
Sounded near. Hope that doesn't go on all night.
Well, there's much we can do about it. Come on, Ellen. I'm dead tired.
All right, Jim.
Where'd you put the toothpaste, honey?
Right in the medicine cabinet.
Oh, yeah.
Jim, we ought to get some firewood tomorrow. You know, a fire in that living room would make all the difference in the world.
Can't. Sunday.
Well, Monday then. Jim, I think red curtains are what we need, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, just at least for the living room. Anyway, the ones in there now have just got to come down.
Yeah, I suppose they do.
What do you think of red?
Well, I guess it's all...
Jim.
It's some tomcat.
Jim, it sounded in the house.
Oh, now, how could it be in the house, Ellen? We've been over every inch of the house.
Except that closet.
Now, how could a cat or anything else be in the closet that's been locked up for over a year?
I don't know.
Probably under the house. A wildcat or mountain lion or something. I hear they have them in California.
Jim, I don't like
Well,
it.
neither do I like it, but there's nothing we can do about it tonight.
Oh, maybe we ought to call somebody, the police or some
don't
neighbor.
be silly, Ellen. You act like a kid. Come on, let's go to bed, huh?
All right, I suppose it is silly. Jimmy, did you lock the door?
Yeah. Can I turn out the lights now?
Yeah. All right.
Good night, Ellen. Sleep tight.
Good night, Jim.
I don't know what time it was, perhaps an hour, perhaps only a half hour later. My mind was in that hazy borderland between sleep and a dream that's still part of consciousness. Then I was awake. Ellen, are you all right?
Yes.
Did a nightmare or something?
No. I heard it, too.
Well, that didn't sound like any cat.
Put on the light.
Yeah.
It seemed to be out there, Jim, in the house somewhere.
I'm going to look into this.
Jim, you be careful.
Come on. Where's my shotgun?
In the den, I think. Jim.
What?
There's something wet.
What? Wet?
Running from under the closet door. Sticky.
Ellen, don't touch it.
I had to. Jim, It's blood.
For Suspense, Roma Wines are bringing you Robert Taylor in The House in Cypress Canyon. Roma Wines' presentation tonight in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense. And now, Roma Wines bring back to our Hollywood soundstage Robert Taylor as James A. Woods, with Kathy Lewis as his wife Ellen, in The House in Cypress Canyon, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
It cannot be too difficult to understand from the foregoing why I've taken the pains to set down in writing the events related here. To find in one's newly rented house a closet which cannot be opened is in itself certainly no great cause for alarm. But to be awakened in the stillness of the night by unearthly cries within that house, to find oozing from under that closet door something that is unquestionably blood, that's another matter. Perhaps others might have been braver than we. Suffice it only to say that we got out of the house in something very close to a panic, and only returned when we had the moral support of two stalwart Los Angeles policemen.
You just moved in here, you say?
That's right, officer. You can see we're still unpacking.
And the place has been empty right along before that?
Yeah, I don't know much about that part of it. You could check all that with the real estate agent, though.
Well, where is this closet?
Oh, it's right in here, officer. And the blood is...
Where? Where's the blood?
Jim?
Officer, I swear to you, there was blood on the floor less than an hour ago. I saw it.
Uh-huh.
It was running out from under that door. We heard that noise, and we got up, and then we saw it. The door was locked.
Locked, huh?
Oh, no.
Well, it seems to be all right now.
Hey, you folks aren't trying to be funny, are you?
Isn't there anything in it?
No, ma'am, there is not.
Look, officer, we're reputable people. You can call my firm. They'll tell you all about me.
There's nothing wrong with this closet. Walls are solid. No trapdoors.
If you think I'm lying...
I didn't say that, mister. Oh, you probably did hear some sort of noise, and you got a little panicky.
What about the blood? It got on my hand.
Isn't there now, is it?
Yes.
Where?
I feel it.
Now, you folks just take it easy. You're liable to hear all kinds of noises up in these canyons at night. You're from the east, you say?
Yeah. I'm sorry, officer.
Ah, that's all right. If you have any real trouble, call on us anytime.
All right.
Well, good night.
Good night.
Good night. Hey, you ought to have this door fixed. That's enough to scare you.
Yeah, we're going to have it fixed. We didn't say much about it after that. There wasn't much that could be said. The next day I went down to a lot and bought a little Christmas tree and some trimmings, and we tried to pretend we were cheerful, but there was an uneasiness between us that had never been there before. Ellen seemed tired and listless. Several times during the day I noticed her washing her hands with a brush, scrubbing the one that had touched the blood. That night we each took a sleeping pill and went to bed. Sometime after midnight, when I was suddenly wide awake and staring into the darkness. In some way, I knew at once and instinctively what had awakened me. Ellen was not in her bed nor in the room. The nameless thing I feared gripped at my heart until I could scarcely breathe. I opened the bedroom door and started through the house, putting on every light that I could find. There was not much to search, but I searched thoroughly. The living room, the kitchen, bathroom, den, even the garage. And all the time, the dread of looking where I knew at last I must look. For I think I knew from the very first time where I'd find her. It must have been a full minute that I stood before that closet door. Then, I opened it. She stood there rigid, her arms at her sides, her fingers extended like claws. Her hair was over her face, her eyes stared out of it. Her lips were drawn back in a grin like an animal at bay. For a moment, I was frozen with the horror of it. I stretched out my hand. Very deliberately, she turned her head and sunk her teeth until they met into the flesh of my forearm. I'd raised my hand to strike at her, but already she'd relaxed her hold and gone utterly limp. She would have fallen unless I'd caught her. I carried her into the bedroom and laid her on the bed. Strangely, at that moment, my only thought was how I might revive her. Until I saw that it was not a faint, but a sleep that she'd fallen into. Sleep as deep and heavy as though she'd been drugged. And so I left her. But for me, that night, there was no sleep. Yes, Ellen?
What are you doing up so early?
Oh, I got a little restless. Went out to make some coffee.
Oh. I had the most wonderful sleep. And I feel so rested.
Do you?
Mm-hmm. Jim.
What?
What's the matter with your arm?
Oh, I just heard it.
Oh, honey, it's terribly swollen. Let me see it.
No, it's all right, Ellen.
Oh, it isn't all right. You've got to see Dr. Wesley right away.
Sure, I will.
No, you promised me, Jim, that you'll go the first thing this morning. How'd it happen?
Oh, there was a dog.
Dog?
Yeah, I heard him trying to chew through the screen door. I went out to chase him away, and he bit me.
Well, you mean there's all that racket, and I didn't even wake up?
No, Ellen, you didn't even wake up. It was clear to me that Ellen knew nothing of what had transpired the night before. I went to my office that morning and made a pretense of going over routine business, if only to restore my mind to some semblance of calm by the sight and sound of common, familiar things. Pain in my arm had become a persistent, dull throbbing. I made a late appointment with Dr. Wesley. He treated my arm with something of an arched eyebrow, and he said,
"Well, I've never seen anything quite like it before. That is, such a rapid onset of infection."
It was dark when I left his office. I hadn't realized it was so late. Driving home, my car seemed sluggish until I saw the needle on the dashboard and realized that I was pushing it to the utmost of its speed. I was racing home to prevent something before it was too late, before the darkness conspired against me. For somehow I already knew with certainty that it was the darkness and the night that I had to fear. The curves of the canyon seemed endless. And then the cold fear leaped up inside me. My house, too, was dark. I went slowly up the stone steps from the road, looking, praying for some sign of light or life. There was none. The house was empty. Ellen was gone. I looked with the same self-torturing thoroughness. And in that closet, first of all, knowing as I did so that it was hopeless. And so, alone in that empty house, I waited, powerless and helpless now, deadened in thought and will, empty as the house itself, save only for the overwhelming sense of a terrible foreboding. For some time in the early hours of the morning, I snapped on the radio, shortwave. Why? Surely a minor question now. I only know that I did. And then I heard it.
Car 58, car 58, go to Laurel Canyon, the 4000 block. A report that a man has been injured or attacked. Conditions ought to be critical. Ambulance will follow. That is all.
I was there almost before the police, edging my way through the little crowd, staring down at the man lying there in his white uniform under the streetlight.
Yeah, the milkman, poor guy. I heard him scream, but when I got here, he was just like this.
All right, stand back, stand back. Please stand back.
Well, you again.
I heard it on the radio. I lived just down the road.
Yeah, I remember.
What happened?
Well, take a look. Maybe you can tell us.
He was dead. And he was lying on his back. And his throat had been torn out, as though by the fangs of some wild animal. It is now Christmas Eve. Or rather, Christmas morning, for it's a little after midnight. I've been waiting here in the stillness of this empty house for nearly 24 hours, waiting for the end. Already once tonight I've heard that dreadful wailing cry somewhere in the hills. I've nailed up the closet door, but that I know is childish and useless. My arm is horribly swollen and turning black, but that's nothing. It's another end that I foresee, as surely as other men foresee the rising of the sun. I hear the cry again. It's nearer now. I shall leave these notes in a sealed envelope and put it in a shoebox, in the hope that someone will give credence to these dark and terrible events, if indeed such nameless horrors can ever yield to mortal understanding. As for myself, I feel no longer any fear or even sorrow. Only a desire that the end and the thing that I must do may come soon. And it will be soon, I know. Yes. For there is someone at the door.
Someone at the door. Huh. What do you make of it, Sam?
It's quite a yarn. But what of it?
That's what I thought. Now, listen, that's not quite all of it.
Huh?
Clip to it's a newspaper clipping. Listen. Hollywood, December the 26th. Police reported what was apparently a case of murder and suicide in Cypress Canyon sometime in the early hours of the morning. The victims were James A. Woods, a chemical engineer, and his wife, Ellen. Preliminary investigation indicates that Mrs. Woods was killed by the blast of a shotgun in the hands of her husband, who then turned the weapon upon himself. That she fought desperately for her life, however, was evidenced by the disorder of the room and the severe lacerations inflicted upon her husband about the neck and arms. This is the second tragedy to be reported in Cypress Canyon within 24 hours, the other being the unexplained death of Frank Polanski, a milkman.
Well, no such murders or whatever they were ever occurred, if that's what's worrying. The clipping, well, you have those things printed up, you know.
No, it's not that, Sam. That story was found in an unfinished house in Cypress Canyon. No number, no nothing, just a framework.
Uh-huh.
Now that house is finished. When I drove by it today, but that's what stopped me, Sam, because it all fits. Now that it's finished, it is the house in the story, the same construction, the same vines and creepers on the lawn, even the same number.
So what, a guy who knows roughly what this house is going to be like writes a yarn and loses it or something?
Did he know the place was going to be listed for rental today, the Saturday before Christmas?
Oh, Jerry, coincidence. Two bits you find the guy next door is a ghost story writer or something, and he's been wondering for a year what happened to that thing he wrote.
Okay, coincidence. Well, I'm sorry I bothered you.
Don't be silly. I liked it. It's a good yarn. That the for rent sign you were talking about?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to put it up outside now.
Uh-huh. Well, so long, Jerry, and Merry Christmas again.
Yeah, well, thanks, Sam. I guess I was kind of silly, all right, man.
Listen, when a guy named, whatever it is, Woods, with a wife named Ellen, comes in to rent that place from you, then you can start worrying.
Yeah. Well, so long, Sam.
So long, Jerry.
Come in.
Oh, we're sorry to bother you, but we just happened to see that for rent sign outside.
Well, yeah, I hung it out just this minute.
Is the house available?
Oh, sure it is.
Let me introduce myself. My name is James A. Woods, and this is my wife, Ellen.
How do? Wow. Looks like it's fixing to...
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Suspense. Presented by Roma Wines, R-O-M-A, Roma Wines, selected for your pleasure from the world's greatest reserves of fine wine. Suspense. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
And there she was again. That beautiful girl sobbing. This time I was sure she was trying to say something to me, trying to get a message of some kind to me, but I just couldn't understand. What was she trying to say? Was she asking me to find her?
Find me. Find me.
Roma Wines are bringing you as star Mr. Lloyd Nolan in 19 Deacon Street by Larry Marcus and Robert Light. Roma Wines' presentation tonight in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Between the acts of Suspense, this is Truman Bradley for Roma Wines. This year, Thanksgiving is more than our traditional Pilgrim's Harvest Festival. More than thanks for the good harvest reaped from the soil of our great land. It's an humble thanksgiving that the world is at peace. Thanks for God-granted overseas victories. Thanks for cherished freedom at home. Thanks for loved ones with us again. Today, in many American homes, wine, Roma wine, is as symbolic of this day of thanks as the traditional turkey. As millions of Americans feast in hamlets, villages, towns, and cities, glassfuls of Roma wine are lifted in heartfelt thankfulness. How fitting, too, with Roma California Burgundy, a wine grown in the soil of America, reflecting the goodness of nature and the patient toil of free men. Roma Burgundy, a red, robust wine, truly delicious, delightful, distinguished in any company, with any food. Serve cool. Remember, because of uniformly fine quality at low cost, more Americans enjoy Roma than any other wine. R-O-M-A, Roma Wines.
And now Roma Wines brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Lloyd Nolan as Maurice Forts, high salesman and raconteur, in 19 Deacon Street, a play well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Now, the Roma Wine Company of Fresno, California presents
Suspense. Tonight, Roma Wines bring you Mr. Lloyd Nolan as star of 19 Deacon Street, a suspense play produced, edited, and directed for Roma Wines by William Spear.
Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills, is presented for your enjoyment by Roma Wines. That's R-O-M-A, Roma Wines. Those excellent California wines that can add so much pleasantness to the way you live, to your happiness in entertaining guests, to your enjoyment of everyday meals. Yes, right now a glassful would be very pleasant as Roma Wines bring you Mr. Lloyd Nolan in a remarkable tale of Suspense.
Oh, what a business, what a business. Do you know how it is? When you're keeping something to yourself, something that scares you, something that nobody else will believe. Well, if I tell you how it really happened, you'll say I'm nuts. But if I don't talk, then for sure I'll go nuts. Listen. Did you ever have a dame get under your skin till you were ready to hang yourself with your own belt just to be rid of her? Yeah. She did that to me. That blonde. That beautiful blonde. And the funny thing is, we never even met. Ties is my business, wholesale. I came to Chicago with a red-hot line and an exclusive to the Middle West, all sewed up. Now, all I had to do was find a place to do business and a place to live. You think that's easy, huh? You should see Chicago these days. Well, some ham actor on the train tipped me off to a theatrical rooming house at 19 Deacon Street. I only wished he'd broken his neck before he saw me. Anyhow, I go to this place, and from the outside, it looks all right. I wait a minute or two, and finally an old dame comes out, looking like a tired old duchess.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. I'm looking...
No vacancy.
Oh? Well, an actor on the train said that maybe it'd put me up.
Are you an actor?
Yeah, sort of.
Well, I do hate to turn you away if you're in the theater. There was a time when we catered exclusively to theatrical people.
Oh, any kind of a room would be okay.
Well, come in, young man. We'll see what we can do. We have a room that we don't rent. It's not really fixed up for renting, but
Now, look, lady, I'm not particular. I'm away all day. All I want a place is to sleep, see?
Come upstairs. I just know I shouldn't. I promised myself that... Now, young man, I'm going to show this to you on one condition.
What's that?
This room belongs to someone...
Laverne. What's the matter, Laverne? Laverne.
Mrs. Swartz.
What are you crying? Huh?
Mrs. Swartz, are you all right?
Yeah. Just a minute. I'm all right. It's just a bad dream, I guess.
But I heard you calling out. You were calling Laverne.
Who?
Laverne. That's who you were calling, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't know. Laverne. Yeah. I guess I was.
How did you know, Mr. Swartz? How did you know her name was Laverne?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how I knew. I knew her name. I knew the name of the blonde, but I never met her. I pressed at the landlady for details, but the old dame wouldn't talk. So I locked the door. I went to work to find out for myself. I emptied all the dresser drawers out on the bed. Plenty of nice clothes, plenty of shoes and dresses and intimate things, you know, but not one scrap of paper to tell you anything about the girl herself. Not a letter, not a card, not an envelope, nothing. Then I got my first break. In a little jacket, I found a key. It had a tag on it, and the figure 9 was written on the tag. There was nothing locked in the room, though, nothing the key should fit. But maybe someplace I'd find the lock it was made for. And later, high in the closet door, I found a telephone number, scrawled with eyebrow pencil. Briargate 1273. I went downstairs to the hall phone. No one was around. I felt like a jerk dialing a number that had been written more than 10 years ago, but I put the nickel in. I started dialing. B-R-I 1 2 7 3. A busy signal. That meant the number was still alive. And maybe, just maybe, somebody on the other end could tell me about Laverne. An hour later, I was still dialing that number and still getting a busy signal. So I finally give up and went to my room. What business was it of mine if some stale babe wanted to disappear? I had my own headaches. I had 400 dozen fancy neckties to get rid of. Laverne she was still in that room. I felt it in my bones. And I couldn't sleep. In the morning, I started out to look for a place to set up shop. Oh, I was plenty groggy, but I told myself that if I didn't sell those neckties, I'd find myself back in the bargain basement of Rosenblatt's department store, which was a sobering thought. So I started walking down to Madison Street. It's a warm day, and I'm walking fast, and suddenly I look up, and I'm on State Street. Now, I know that town pretty well. I don't have to go anywhere near State Street to get to Madison, but here I am. I'm on State Street, and I'm standing in front of an old building. All around me, I see hock shops, flop houses, tattoo joints, you know the kind of neighborhood. And right in front of me, this old building, all boarded up. Suddenly I get the brainwave that this is the kind of a joint I need for my business. Looked like it hadn't been used for 50 years, so the rent couldn't be too high, and it's big and central. So I just ankle around to the alley, try the back door. Figure there must be a caretaker or somebody around, so I give a yell. Hey! Anybody in here? No dice. This is kind of funny because I can see a light shining through the crack in the boards. So I start pounding on the door. Hey, open up! Open up, what is there?
What do you think you're doing?
Huh? Oh, hello, officer. Well, I just thought that there'd be a janitor around.
Does it look like there'd be anybody around with the doors all padlocked like this?
Yeah, but look, there's a light burning inside.
It's just a work light on the stage. It burns all the time. What do you want, mister?
I want to rent the joint. Where can I find the owner?
Rent it, huh?
Yeah.
You better get in touch with Jasper Florenz.
Oh, the big stage producer.
That's right. He used to run this little Burlicue house before he was in the chips. Got his start here. You can probably get him on the phone at his office.
Florenz Productions.
Oh, hello. I'd like to speak to Mr. Florenz, please.
Oh, who's calling, please?
My name's Swartz.
What did you wish to talk to Mr. Florenz about, please? He's very busy.
Yeah. Now, look, I ain't no ham actor looking for a job. Tell him I want to rent some space from him.
Rent space?
Yeah, the old Florenz Theater on State Street.
Oh.
Well? Hello?
I'm sorry, but the Florenz Theater is not for rent.
Not for rent. But why? Well, okay. Have it your way. I burned up. The nerve of that guy letting his theater sit there empty while I needed it so bad. Well, I wandered back to the house a little later, and as soon as I got within sight of it, I got that queer feeling again. It was just like that blonde was standing there waiting for me. Well, I walked in and went to my room. I got out of detective mystery and tried to pass the time away, but it didn't work. I couldn't think of a thing, except Laverne. Then I lay back on the bed, and I must have been dead tired. Because in nothing flat, I was out.
Very dear to me. She's away. I've never rented it because, well, I expect her back.
Oh, yeah?
I want you to promise that no matter what, you'll not move anything or ask any questions about her.
That's a funny thing to ask.
Some people wouldn't understand. Promise?
Okay, it's a deal.
I'll turn on the light. Well, do you like it?
Well, I don't know. It's kind of feminine, isn't it?
Yes.
Yellow fluffy curtains and costume dolls, cold cream, grease paint, dressing gown. Nice perfume. And hey, lady stockings. Say, ain't this a little unusual? I mean,
we haven't changed it at all. You don't realize this, young man, but you're standing at a shrine.
Am I? Oh, what?
We haven't touched her room because someday she'll be back, and she'll find everything just as she left it.
Is this her picture on the mantel here?
Yes. Isn't she beautiful?
Wow. You can say that again. I never even saw such a beautiful dame.
And notice the long golden hair.
Yeah.
Oh, if you could really see it. Long and shimmering like thin strands of purest gold. And she'll be back.
Well, when do you expect her?
I don't know.
What, didn't she say?
No, she didn't say a word. One day she was here, and the next day she was gone without a word.
How long ago?
In a few days, it'll be 10 years.
Well, I took the room. If I knew then what trouble it would bring me, I'd have slept in the park instead. When the landlady left, I went over to the mantel and I looked at the blonde's picture. Yeah, she was really one beautiful dame. And there was something else about her. Some little thing I couldn't pin down. Well, I took the French doll off the pillow and flopped down. But from where I lay, I could look right at the picture. I looked and I felt the back of my neck crawl. Finally, I couldn't stand it any longer. I jumped up. I turned the picture to the wall. And then I dozed off. And there she was, crying. Just her face, soft gray eyes, and her golden hair. Strands, a pure girl, like the old dame said, yeah. Well, what was she crying about? What was wrong? I didn't get it. Laverne.